62 million. 62 million. That is the number of visits a website got that gave tips and tricks for men to drug and rape women. This website got 62 million visits in the single month of February. And in March, 81.7 million. 81.7 million visits to a site where men are sharing tips and tricks on how to drug and rape women, predominantly these men's wives and partners. And not only that, but they were also offering $20 per stream live streams for other men to watch them sexually assault their wives, the people that they promised to love and care for and protect and nurture. They're offering $20 fucking streams for other men to watch them sexually assault their partners. Don't ever ask me again why we choose the bear. Don't ever fucking say not all men ever fucking again. Genuinely, what the fuck? Y'all playing, but I'm so for real when I say I genuinely think men should have to start their lives in jail and prove themselves out. Because not all men, but every woman. Every woman that I know or have come into contact with has a story with a man, and that right there tells me everything that I need to know.
I just learned that there is a website where men teach other men how to drug and assault their wives, and millions of people are visiting it every day. CNN reported in March, by the way, that 62 million visitors went to that website in the month of February alone. The shortest month, if you didn't know. Wild that some of us are just finding out about this report now, when it should be what? A global fucking emergency, but instead we're just too worried about hurting men's feelings and their loneliness epidemic. I ran some numbers, intentionally meant to be alarming. I'll explain why on the other side. Very conservatively, if every single man who visited that website in the month of February visited it every single day, that's still 2.2 million men. If those 62 million visits represented single visitors, that's 18% of the entire United States population, 37% of males, 48% of adult males, and 56% of heterosexual adult males. Obviously, 56% of straight men did not go and visit this website. My point is, for the not all men crowd, your issue is not women coming on here and complaining about how you don't pick up after yourselves and your fucking hairline. It is not allies who make fun of you for skid marks in your underwear, okay? It is these men who are the problem. Because this is terrifying. It's not just scary men in alleyways that women have to be scared of. It is their husbands. It is their boyfriends. It is these seemingly normal men who go to work and then come home and then log onto the internet to learn how to violate the woman sitting next to them, film it, and then share it with each other. And unfortunately for you, it is your job to fix it. And if your first instinct right now is to defend men rather than protect women, you've already picked a side.
If your first reaction to reading this article or seeing videos about this article is to get annoyed or exacerbated, roll your eyes, try to change the topic, or claim that it wasn't 62 million men, it was only 62 million views that month, then in my eyes, you are no different than the people involved in this. This is a rape academy. They were literally sharing videos and insight on how to better dose their partners so that they wouldn't OD while they were raping them. One of these women spent 4 years trying to get her husband behind bars after he admitted to doing it. And then when she tried to tell the police and other people in her sphere, they said, well, he's your husband. Well, you were asleep, so it's a little different than being taken down an alley, isn't it? This is why it's all men, including me, because they don't know me. They have to take precaution with everyone because this is what's happening in their home, the safest place they're supposed to be. Imagine if tomorrow you spent the whole day texting all of your guy friends to see if they've consumed this stuff or are actively participating in it. That's what women have to do every single day of their lives. That's what they do whenever they interact with men or even pass by them on the street, at work, at a supermarket, especially at a bar. Even if it's not at the forefront of their mind, it has to sit in the back at all times because they know that their friends, police officers, judges, presidents, no one is going to 100% believe them. So they're on their own. They have to do this and make sure that they are safe on their own. This is why nothing's happened to Donald Trump. This is why we don't have all of the Epstein files, and no one's been thrown in jail because of them yet. And this is why they say all men, because they cannot trust anyone, because they're coming home from a long day's work, and their husband is putting their son's sleeping pills in their tea.
62 million men were reported by CNN this week to have visited an online rape academy. Actually, that's not what the article said. It was 62 million visits to the website, not 62 million men. And most of those visits weren't even to the rape academy part of the site. That was only a couple 100,000 views. Oh my God, thank you. Thank you so much for correcting me, because that's what we should be focusing on. I was about to be furious. I was about to be genuinely upset that there was a global network of men teaching each other how to drug and rape their wives. I was about to sit with the fact that hundreds of thousands of other men knew this network existed and said nothing. But only 200,000? Crisis averted. Thank you. Seriously, thank you for making sure the conversation online about this stays focused on the methodology of the headline instead of the actual content of the article. Because if there's one thing I've learned making videos about men's violence against women, it's that the most important part of any given atrocity is whether the statistic cited was within the acceptable margin of error. Not the hundreds of thousands of views on the drugging videos, not the group chats on Telegram, not the fact that one of the survivors was married to this man for 16 years before she found out, not the good guys who saw something in a forum or a group chat and kept on scrolling. The number is the issue. Let's talk about the number.
This is something I don't like to talk about. But when I was in law school, the summer of my 2L year, I interned at a local prosecutor's office in their SVU unit. It's not what it's called, but you get the picture. I was there maybe a month and a half, 2 months max, but the things that I saw there haunt me to this very day, some 13, 14 years later. Men, and it was always men, who preyed on the elderly, on intellectually and physically disabled people, on children, on their own daughters and granddaughters. And these events, and hearing these events recounted, were horrific. But there are certain details that I just cannot shake. And I think about them all the time. The 80-year-old woman whose neighbor had broken into her house to assault her, and how she begged him to hurry up and finish because he had broken her arm and she wanted to go to the doctor. The 6-year-old girl who was at the sink brushing her teeth before school when her own father assaulted her. The look on a victim's face when she realized that her family was not at that courthouse to support her. They were at the courthouse to support her uncle, who had hurt her. And all of this, having studied and learned the statistics and knowing just how usual it all was. How commonplace and mundane these horrors. Brother, I know that your reaction when someone says that it is all men is partially because you do not want to believe that this world is as evil as it is. That you do not want to believe that some of your friends and family and mentors are as evil as they are. But I am telling you right now that as evil as you can imagine the world to be, it is so much worse.
I posted about the website that teaches men how to attack women, specifically how to attack their wives. And the comments that I've been getting are just honestly baffling, because it's so many people saying, well, we don't even know if all those visitors were human. We don't know that they were all men. We don't know how many times the same man visited the website. It was 62 million visits. You think one dude visited 62 million times in the same month? What are we saying right now?
Does it matter how many people visited the website? Or does it matter that the website exists at all? Is that not the more important thing? Are we not much more worried about the real problem here? That men are actively looking for lessons on how to attack women? But it's just not all men. That's what we need to focus on. Well, it's only 62 million of 8 billion. Man, shut up. Honest to God, shut up.
A CNN investigation has found that there are multiple online rape academies. These are communities where men are sharing tips and knowledge on how to drug and assault their wives and girlfriends. One site currently hosts 20,000 videos of unconscious women, hundreds of thousands of views. Men share specific advice on which prescription drugs act quickly and which leave little trace in the body. A French lawmaker called them online rape academies. And I need you to understand something. This is not rare. This is not a few disturbed men on the dark web. This is tens of thousands of videos, hundreds of thousands of views, hundreds of thousands of men. Men in these communities who are married, who have children, who go to work, who are your neighbours. The men who abused Giselle Pellico, they all lived in the same village as her. And they spanned all industries, all kinds of jobs, all ages. In England and Wales, the proportion of victims assaulted while unconscious or asleep has risen to 23% over the last decade. These are women raped in their own beds by men they trust completely. And men are finding community and encouragement online to do this. This is organised, this is normalised. And the platforms hosting it know it is there. And that is why in my novel, women have sharp teeth and sharper claws. Because who is protecting us?
Oh dear, where do we begin with this one? 62 million visits to a Grape Academy website, and men are so focused on pushing back that it's not all men. You don't know that it's men that are visiting the website. Sure, women are going to these websites learning about ways to assault women and grape women. You can't say 62 million men because you don't know whether it was just AI or bot accounts. You don't know that it's not one man visiting that website multiple times. Do men not realize that the unknown information that they are trying to defend is the exact same unknown information women give when they say all men until no men? Women don't know which men to avoid and which men to be around, so they will be wary and cautious of them all. Every time something horrific comes out about men's behavior, men want to find a way to try and defend it and ensure that they are not one of those men involved in this. Men are more concerned about clearing their name and making sure that other people don't think they are part of that problem, as opposed to being horrified and shocked with men doing this in the first place. The other key difference is this: you don't know which man has been to that website. And so when you're walking around men, you're not wondering whether or not this man has been involved in that. But you also don't really care because it doesn't affect you directly, especially when they're visiting a website on how to grape women. So you see how privilege works? You don't need to worry about the men you're walking around and worry about the behaviors that they might be displaying towards women and girls if you're a man. This website is literal conversations back and forth between men on tactics in how to harm the women in their lives. If your only response is you don't know how many men are involved in it, then you are saying loud and proud just how much you are part of the problem.
You know what the worst mansplaining is? All mansplaining. But when you're out here like, no, it's not 62 million men on a site where men can learn how to RAPE their partners and sell their partners' bodies without their knowing for money. Well, actually, it's 62 million views on a site where men can learn how to RAPE their partners and sell their partners' bodies without their knowing for money. Do you really not know how you sound right now? Stop making excuses and trying to poke holes. FYI, this line of thinking is just those things. It's being defensive, and my question for a man who is engaging like this, or also responding with a typical, oh, well, you know it's not all men BS, and women are just as bad, and misandry this and misandry that. My question is, what are you defending? You're defending this heinous behavior. That's what you're defending. Because if anything other than 62 million is crazy and unsurprising, and men as a collective not only need to be better, but they need to recognize the issue for what it is and take an active role in dismantling all of this, any response other than that is a defensive reaction. And I want to know what you're defending, because it's suspicious behavior. All of history is well-documented proof of violence and harm towards women at the hands of men. That same energy does not exist remotely anywhere close towards men from women. Any constraints or issues men have is due entirely to the system of patriarchy, a system that was set up by men. We gotta stop with the scapegoating and making excuses and blaming women. It has only allowed all of this, and I do mean all of this, to perpetuate. You can draw a direct line from, well, it's not all men, to this RAPE Academy. Wild. And like I said, anyone having any type of defensive reaction to this, it's suspicious.
62 million visits to a rape academy in February was a slow month because this is March. Nearly 82 million visits to the online rape academy, where men taught other men about what kind of doses to use on their partners as to make sure they didn't OD, so that they could incapacitate them and then assault them on camera or live stream, where men uploaded tens of thousands of videos or even charged people $20 per viewer to watch them assault their partners, where they continued to provide tips on how to do it. And it'll surprise no woman on the planet that when they came forward, especially with the one here who came forward about her husband spiking her tea with their son's sleeping medication so he could continually rape her, people said things like this. Yeah, but he's your husband, but weren't you awake? So it's not quite the same thing as being taken in an alleyway, is it? I would argue it's worse, because she should have been able to trust her fucking husband to make her a cup of tea. So yeah, March, nearly 82 million visits.
As a man, I gotta step up and raise awareness because we need to talk about this so-called Rape Academy that CNN just exposed. I mean, you can go online and read about it, and I suggest everyone to go look into it because it's very serious. These guys in these group chats are terrible human beings. They're teaching each other how to drug and rape their own wives and then swapping tips on how to get away with these criminal acts. And this is also patriarchy. And patriarchy is the old system that teaches men that from day one that women are property, that women are supposed to be objects and control for sex and status. And it's the same red pill system that teaches men that their manhood comes from dominating women and having power and control over them, whether it's in the home or in society in general. The ruling class, the billionaire class, and corporate media push hypermasculine toxicity, violence, and conquest to keep men chasing false power instead of fighting the real enemy, which is the capitalist billionaires who exploits all of us. So these men in these group chats, they aren't just monsters. They're what I call puppets of patriarchy, trained to see their wives as things to own and abuse and not protect. And the system protects them because of weak laws, rich lawyers, and a culture that blames women and downplays these things by saying it's just boys being boys. I'm not here to give myself a pat on the back for speaking out. I'm speaking out because silence makes us complicit. It makes us complicit in patriarchy and sexual abuse. Real men shouldn't look away when other men organize to hurt other women. Real solidarity means smashing this toxic manhood. It means calling it out in our own circles, supporting the survivors, supporting women, and fighting back against the whole thing. So if you're a man watching this, don't just scroll past. I mean, challenge the issue. Reject the domination narrative and stand with working women and stand with everyone getting crushed by this capitalist system. Because at the end of the day, women are going to lead the future revolution. So they are vulnerable people that we must protect from here and now on.